Live. We are live now on YouTube and we are live on Zoom. So let us begin the proceedings for this webinar. I would like to hand over to Naila Chima first for some housekeeping, just for your information.
Hi everyone and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Naila Chima. I'm the one who has been messaging you, emailing you. I'll quickly go over a few housekeeping points to ensure we have a smooth and productive session. As you know, it's going live on YouTube as well. We have a limited capacity, and when the session is at full capacity, everyone will be directed towards the YouTube link. If you know anyone who wants to attend, please share the YouTube link with them. There will be a question and answer session just after the proceedings, and we will stop the recording at that time. It will not go to YouTube, so you can all ask the questions, whatever you like. And to maintain a rich and focused learning environment, only our speakers will be unmuted during the session. This ensures a smooth delivery of content and minimal distractions. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to an engaging and insightful session.
Thank you very much, Naila. So we will have Dr. Asher Shaikh deliver today's webinar. And at the end, we will have an opportunity for question and answers. We're leaving them right to the end so that the flow for Dr. Asher's keynote is not interrupted. If you have any questions at the end, you can use the chat facility or feel free to raise your hand on Zoom, and then we will unmute you. I would actually like to thank both Naila Chima and Dr. Simran Sheikh for helping make this happen. So for those who don't know me, my name is Teek Ahmad Bhatti. I'm very honored to welcome you to the first international webinar introducing the principles of German new medicine and its application and integration into homeopathy. As homeopathic doctors and practitioners, we often face the challenge of identifying the true root cause, the causa causalis of disease. And it can cause, a great amount of anxiety at times for us as practitioners and doctors. Through the application of German new medicine, we can more confidently direct our efforts towards accurately prescribing remedies or remedy selection. Now, this method, German new medicine, allows us to adapt to each case with precision, offering an exceptional advantage when choosing rubrics, especially or specifically related to, for example, ailments from and delusions. And Dr. Asher will talk about that in today's webinar. So our chief guest is Dr. Asher Shaikh, and he is a HHF director and German new medicine mentor. Now, I would like to say we use GNM for short, but it's actually German new medicine, which is GNM. So Dr. Asher Shaikh is the HHF director and GNM mentor. And he's, of course, the most respected doctor, and he will introduce us to German new medicine. And of course, he'll also provide examples of cases which have been treated using the knowledge of German new medicine applied to homeopathic practice, case taking, and prescribing. So I am honored and pleased to announce also that in the new year, we will be launching a structured training program for homeopaths to learn about German new medicine in a very comprehensive manner, and more details will follow. So without further ado, it is my privilege and to warmly welcome the esteemed Dr. Asher Shaikh from India. And I do extend my heartfelt gratitude to him for graciously sharing his time, knowledge, and expertise with us all. Trust me, this is going to be life-changing for you all. I'm confident that this session will enrich your understanding and equip you with insights that will empower you to better serve your patients. And that's what we do as homeopaths. We serve humanity through the blessings of homeopathy. Kindly note that, when you combine German new medicine with the tools of homeopathy, you'll be able to advance your mission of healing and true service to humanity in leaps and bounds. With that, I hand over the platform to respected Dr. Asher Shaikh, and looking forward to a fantastic session. Dr. Asher Shaikh, over to you.
Good afternoon and good evening to all. It's my pleasure to be here. Thanks to Dr. Atiq Ahmed Bhatti, Naila ji for coordinating the whole lecture series. And it's a tough job, I know. So thank you from my bottom of my heart. I will try to share my knowledge, how I've been doing it from 13 years. My practice is from 25 years, but I have been doing German new medicine and homeopathy, studying it every page by page and applying to my patients, getting better and better results. And that's all the knowledge which I'm going to share today. So it's going to be, it was a journey, it was a difficult journey. But once the concepts of conflict, the psyche brain organ connection was clear, it became a cakewalk. And whatever I'm going to talk tonight is going to be very easy for you to replicate. Just be there, listen point wise. Whatever queries you have, put it in the chat box. We will surely reply you at the end of the lecture. You need to be focused, very focused, and try to understand how we have combined the knowledge of disease to the knowledge of medicine, what our aphorism number 3 and 4 says. And I've always been into a query, a question mark. What did Dr. Hahnemann say means about knowledge of disease has to be combined with knowledge of medicine? And that question was always playing on my mind. And then I happened to learn German new medicine. I traveled to Austria, learn under Caroline ma'am, and it was such a eye-opening moment. But immediately I just could not bring in and combine with homeopathy initially because it took little amount of study and time to combine it and then give results in pathology. And then that practice of yours, once you start doing it very easily or at ease, it becomes a complete new practice for you, and you yourself heal when you're healing such pathologies, and you get astonished what homeopathy can do over here. So taking you on that journey, let's begin. I will share my screen. So conflict to clarity. Everybody can see the slide, right?
Yes, it's perfectly working.
Perfect. Conflict to clarity. Experiencing the healing like never before with German new medicine and homeopathy. It was my passion to somehow combine these two because they are nature's law. So what does German new medicine do? It shows us the light. It shows us the light, how we can proceed in every difficult case which comes to you in front of you. This is a short disclaimer. Let me play the video.
There may be a problem with the sound.
Yeah. So this was the light shown to me by Dr. Hahnemann and Dr. Reich Hammer. The story of Dr. Reich Hammer, is such that he was an oncologist and he was traveling with his son. When they were traveling on a boat, there was attack on him by the pirates, and in that exchange of fire, the son got injured and he died after some days. Immediately after a few days, Dr. Hammer found that there is a testicular swelling, and it was just going on increasing. So he got a few cases in his hospital, which he tried to probe. He found that everybody who had this testicular problem or had a testicular growth had lost somebody very dear and near one in their family. That triggered a question mark in his mind that there's something to do with the shock which they receive after the death of that loved ones, which affects the testis. Because testis is a place where the sperms are made, and the desire to have one more child stimulates cell growth over there. There is cell proliferation. That is called as a growth or a tumor or a cancer. But basically, it is a survival mechanism. When you require more children or you want to have more children, the proliferation helps you make sperms which can be used to have your family stand back again. When he came to know all these things, he started working on every organ and then found out diseases are not diseases, they are dis-ease or rather a survival mechanism. So, all what we go through in our life is nothing but survival mechanism. Our body is trying to survive in the best way it can in such crisis. And that is what we need to understand. Once we understand these things, we need to make those small changes which are stimulating or causing all this discomfort to you. And these things are what we understand as conflict. And these things in homeopathy, we understand as causa causalis. And this things is what is the cause. And that is what we take in rubric to repertorize as ailments from. So your ailments from can be easily understood. And when you go on sitting for long hours in the case history, once you know the ailments from, you can easily reach to a one strong eliminating rubric, which will tell you the disease started from this point. And that's so beautiful. That's so beautiful. This is my team, Usher Clinic. They in and out work, day in and out. We work on every case has been analyzed, every case, the German new medicine, the cause and the conflict is understood, the nerves are understood, the brain are understood, the embryological layer is understood, and that's how we start getting better and better in our practice. And then it helps us to give a big name to homeopathy. We can take a challenge of any pathology because we don't consider them as what we say diseases. We just consider as a survival mechanism. So a fusion of German new medicine and homeopathy helps us achieve the cure as it is termed by Dr. Hahnemann. So, German new medicine, what it says is it is a nature's law. What happens is nature's law is when we get diseased or when your body's organ is dead or you die, the organisms come and clean it up. The same thing happens to you in your body. When your body has dead cells, the bacteria, the fungus comes in to eat up. But when this process of healing is going on, you give antibiotics or you stop the healing process, the tumors arise, the capsules get encapsulated, the cyst formation comes, or the tumor comes. The tumor is a dead tissue which you don't allow the nature to come and eat it up and clean it up. And that leads to most of the growths on your body which go untreated. And then you either go under a knife or you go under chemotherapy. And then this is what is a blunder in the medical practice, which we should be aware of. So here, today's lecture is not only going to make you understand the combined replication of German new medicine and homeopathy in practice, but we are going to learn nature's law, how we should not fear diseases and understand that there is a healing mechanism which is going on, not get really hassled by a abscess, not get really hassled by a tumor or a growth. Anything which is coming up is because of that germ layer which is proliferating. And that proliferation is because of not a disease, but a survival mechanism to live better and stronger in this world where you are going through certain conflicts which your body is getting ready for to face, to fight. So this is the iron rule of German new medicine. How many people have read about German new medicine in the chat box? If I can get a feedback. Yes, lot many. Great. So let us understand the biological laws. Why it is called as biological law? Because this is what we are made up of, and this is what we go through in our life. The first biological law is every disease, including all the parts of the body, originate from get affected by a specific sudden intense shock experience at the psyche. So your first thing which will happen is your psyche will get affected, means your mind will get affected. Something resonates to the first chapter of our repertory. This is exactly the first biological law. So the ailments from is what comes here. The law of two-phase development. Disease unfold in two phases: a conflict active phase where the body adapts, and the healing phase where the symptom manifests during the tissue restoration. Here, what we understand is as soon as we get a shock, there is a inflammation which comes in. Sora comes in. The inflammation sets in. Then, if the inflammation or the sora is going to continue for a little longer time, naturally our body is either going to have a cell loss or accumulate tissue or cells. So if you go on hitting your body, there is going to be induration. So that's psychosis. And the healing phase and everything here is nothing but a part of psychosis. If the conflict active phase is taken care of and there is no hanging healing, the body goes into tissue restoration. The tissue restoration, how it happens? Again, it happens through a biological law, the nature's biological law. So the third thing, the location of the symptoms corresponding to the specific brain areas related to initial shock and type of conflict experienced, means that that organ of our body which is sensitive to that shock which we have gone through, and that organ is involved in that activity of the brain, is going to either show cell proliferation or is going to show cell loss. The ontogenic system, the microbes, when the tumor grows up, the induration is too much and you need to clean up. Naturally, to clean up, the nature has given microbes, the fungus and the bacteria. So if you take an example of the brain stem, the oldest brain of humans, the brain stem is always and always which is controlling our digestive system and reproductive system, is always taken care by the fungi or the oldest bacteria, that is tubercular bacteria. So if the tissue is old, the bacteria also is old. That's also is so beautifully planned by nature for us. The fifth biological law, also called diseases have special biological purpose and should not be suppressed as they aid into restoring our body's balance and well-being. So called diseases have special biological meaning. They name it disease, but I say it is a survival mechanism which has a special biological meaning for you to survive better in this world, because you are going through some or other problems, some or other conflict, some or other injuries. You need to heal. The body is made to heal on its own. It just does not require loads and loads of medicines and capsules and vitamins to solve our problems of healing. The body is capable of doing it, and that is biological nature law. So what does homeopathy has to say about it? The minimum dose, homeopathic medicines are administered in a minimal dose to avoid side effect and gentle stimulate the vital force. What are we doing? We are not going to give medicines to heal. We are just stimulating the deranged vital force. The vital force is capable of healing our body if it is out of the derangement. This is so similar to German new medicine. The theory of chronic diseases, the miasm which I was talking about, the psora, psychosis, syphilis, everything, the psora is inflammation, the initial ailments from hits the body in the form of inflammation, and then there is psychosis or there is destruction. Individual, every homeopath takes a detailed history of the individual unique symptom, constitution, and circumstances. The same is German new medicine. Each biological conflict is unique to the individual. So if you have a problem in your life, your perceptions to look at these problems will be different. For example, if you are harassed by your neighbor, if you are always positive, even if he comes in front of you, you give a smile and walk out, it's not going to cause any issues to your psyche. But if you get harassed or you just don't want to see him every day in the morning, naturally your eyes are taking the shock. And then your right eye, so normally the neighbors is the right eye, so your right eye will start showing inflammation. When you go to a doctor, the doctor says the eye has conjunctivitis, the eye has early cataract being developed, the eye pressure is going up. What you have to go and get it operated, or you have to put these drops. But what is the reason, you ask the doctor, and the doctor says nothing, is a bacteria and the virus or a viral infection or a viral conjunctivitis. No, my dears, doctors, it is not the virus. The virus does not come automatically. Your immunity, your cortisol levels go up because of the psyche being hit again and again. The brain immediately has to come into action, and the eyes, the organ with which you see that guy every day and get angry and your cortisol going up, is getting affected. So these are all what we call as survival mechanisms. If we want to live a very healthy life, if we want to really heal our family members, if we want to keep our surrounding healthy, we need to be very vigilant on what happened before the survival mechanism, what these people call as disease, occurred, and then you sit with that person and resolve it. You will get the cause in every case of yours. You cannot not find this, because it is a biological nature's law. The body has to respond according to law. Nothing can go out of the law. Everything is under that nature's law. So why these laws are called biological? Because this is how body heals. This is the rule of nature. The above biological healing laws and our science of homeopathy being nature's science, they both work hand in hand to help us getting wonderful cure, as it is termed by Dr. Hahnemann, the ideal cure of aphorism number 1. Now we all try to study homeopathic remedies. We just go behind and polish our knowledge about remedies. But what about the aphorism number 3, which says you need to have a knowledge of disease? The indication, if it clearly perceived, then it is curative medicine, that is to say, each individual knowledge of medicinal power if he knows how to adapt according to clearly defined principles of cure, is what Dr. Hahnemann says. So, knowledge of disease is very important to understand the cause of the disease, how the disease started. Otherwise, when you're sitting for a case history, there are so many mental symptoms poured on you. You don't know how to start. You don't know which mental symptom or which rubric has to be given importance. Where did the disease start? And then you lose your overall confidence in what rubric has to be taken, and then the light what GNM shows comes into our help is what helps us streamline our case taking and reach to a proper understanding of the survival mechanism of the person. When we know what is his survival mechanism and how he perceives this situation, then you can reach to a remedy. So I call it as a chain reaction. It is ailment from, there is a shock to the psyche affects the brain immediately sets up a chain reaction, activates the organ which is involved in protecting that person from surviving better. The organ either has to grow or lose its cells to survive better, and this is how what the healing has to take place. So it is again going to be the same understanding where we sit in for a case history in detail, that we know where we are going. And believe me, when you ask the cause, what happened when this disease started, the patient also starts trusting in you. Because if he comes with a knee pain and you say, tell me your mind symptoms, naturally he's going to say, my knees are hurting, it's paining, I am not able to bear this pain, and this homeopath or this physician is asking me about my nature. What has this nature to do with my knee? When you ask the cause and relate it with the tissue and the nerves and explain why there is cortisol buildup in the knee and the bones, the patient immediately starts opening up. Believe me, he will open up completely. You don't have to ask any further questions, and your repertorization sheet will be clearly ready to help him survive better in this world using German medicine and homeopathy. So the aphorism number 9, what we know about vital force, it's just that gets deranged in homeopathy, and a single dose has the capacity, the minimal dose, which are the cardinal principles of homeopathy, can stimulate the vital force to run back into harmony. The morbidly affected vital energy alone produces disease. So what is this? The psyche getting affected. Once the psyche getting affected, your vital force gets affected, and that itself is enough to produce diseases. This is also again so resonant with GNM, and everything is written in our organon. Now, so today's lecture, as being a basic understanding of German new medicine, the principles of laterality also play a major role, because the cases which I'm going to show back to back, these cases, few of my Indian doctors or students must have seen it. But why I've selected them? Just to make you understand that how to apply and replicate. Once we start our web series or offline lectures, every month we are going to do it, we are going to see new cases and the approach in every pathology. All these years I've been collecting these cases, which will help you easily understand or replicate them in your practice. So the right hand. So I'll just stop share. The right hand. The right hand side, what we have is your father's side, is your partner's side, is also your spouse side. The left side, the left hand, is your mother's side, your sibling side. Usually, for me to understand or make it easy, something which you get into relationship, you are not into a blood relationship, you get into a relationship, is your partner, your work partner, your spouse is on your right. Blood relations, mother, sibling, children are on your left. Now you will be in a situation where you will always think, how do I confirm this? So there are two ways which I do it. There are many other ways also, but the way I do it is usually I ask them to do a clap test. So if the person uses his right hand on the left hand and he claps like this, it's going to be the right-handed person. So his right hand is naturally going to be father, mother, father, partner, spouse, and left hand is going to be mother, children. But if he does this with his left hand, then it's always going to be the left-sided person. So if his left side is dominant, then the left side becomes the father, partner, and spouse. The right becomes the mother, children, and siblings of who are involved in that psyche getting affected by a conflict. So back to the slides. So what I here understand is sperms and blood. So it is right-handed is territory, father, spouse. Left hand is mother, child, relatives. If it's left-handed is mother on the right, blood relatives and siblings on the right. Left-handed, it's partner, territory, father, spouse. I again stop sharing and explain you if somebody comes and claps like this. Oh my God. Now what to do? So immediately give a bottle in the hand of the patient and ask them to open the bottle. If they use their right hand to open the bottle, the person is right hand dominant. If he uses left hand to open the bottle, then he is left-handed dominant. So these two tests usually never fail. There are other ways and means also, but this is the best way which helps me understand which side is dominant of a patient. So let's use this in a case of leprosy. Why I took up this case, though I had shown it few days back to in one of my webinar series, Brahmastra, but I'm going to take it again here, a short one, just to make you understand, because this type of cases, when they come, you get really hassled in clinic because we all treat it as disease and get afraid of it. But there's nothing to get afraid of it if you know the German new medicine, if you know the biological laws. That's what brings in all the confidence, because that biological law is always going to be on your side, on your brain, and bring in that confidence that these are not diseases, these are survival mechanism. So if your survival mechanism does not match with this person who's going through this in his life, naturally you cannot get these problems. So you don't have to get afraid of these cases in your clinics. So it has been labeled as irreversible pathology, chronic pathological cases, most infectious disease, rare disease, God's curse. All is what this has done. So this guy came to me and I examined him. There were all reddish patches and his skin biopsy or this test suggests Mycobacterium leprae. Okay. Now what to do? How do we go about? Now the right side and the left side has to be taken. Remember, I will be teaching you in details, but remember the brain stem, the oldest brain. The oldest brain stem controls your digestive system and most of your reproductive system. So when you are taking all the diseases of your organs which are controlled by brainstem, there is not going to be right and left because it's below the crossing. there is not going to be any right and left. But anything above that, it has to be the right and the left. So here he said it was started from the right side. So naturally, my questions are going to be for the people who he gets affected by and is stressed about or is releasing a lot of. So how I understand today's lecture does not have that's how the psyche is connected. So once the psyche gets affected, the psyche affects the brain. In the brain, there are neurotransmitters which get fired. What are the neurotransmitters? The adrenaline, histamines, norepinephrine, dopamine, serotonin. This get fired. The moods affect your the psyche, and the mood affects your brain. The brain stimulates or fires these neurotransmitters. These neurotransmitters have a long-term effect on your hormones and enzymes. A lot of secretion of hormones and enzymes either will go into hyper hyperthyroid, or if it is too much use of that enzyme, is going to be go into hypo. So here, the corium skin, controlled by the cerebellum, has a right and a left. So case, it's already it was a diagnosed leprosy case. He had skin eruptions now all over the body. What do I have to ask him? He said it's all started from right to the left elbow, from right to left elbow. So right side. Who are the people in the house who are on the right? He hardly goes out for work. He does not have any problem at work. He does not have a problem with partners. So it's going to be wife. So my next question was, what issues with wife? So eruptions, you just need to see this video. Okay. So in short, this is how the eruptions were. And the clinic is completely packed. My clinic is almost a OPD of 120 patients, and all difficult pathologies waiting there. And this guy with leprosy, when came, you can imagine the surrounding. It was very, very difficult for people to understand. So he came with all these lesions. So this is a video where he says what problem he has with wife. We will not play the video. I'll read it for you, though it has subtitling. But in short, because we are not into learning as such into the depth, I will just relate to you what he says. He says he has no conflict with everyone. Everything is fine with my life. And this is all I'm sure everybody must be facing. All is good. You just treat my problem. He maintains a good relationship with his wife, children, and even at work. He has never quarreled with anybody in the village. When things go wrong, this simply lets the person win, often saying, "You are great, I'm small," and way of keeping at peace. He never looks his stand because of his love for harmony and aversion to arguments, prioritizing positive relationship together. So what you do understand from this, when a patient comes from they don't take it, he's not saying anything, there is nothing wrong with him, doctor, there are no arguments, he's a happy-go-lucky guy. No, this is his disposition. This is how he is what we need to understand. Don't take it that he's saying nothing. He's somewhat fearful of his disease, not for himself, but for others, because every doctor has said it spreads. You have to be isolated. His main concern is that no one else, especially his loved ones, should get it. He's living with his grandchildren who frequently visit him, worries that his safety, and doesn't want his illness to cause them any harm. Overall, he has a secretive, but he becomes emotional and tearful while speaking, deeply moved by thoughts of protecting his family from his disease. So what we understand from here, he is protective and little safety towards the family, what he wants. according to his son. So his son said he used to drink, which sometimes led to argument between him and our mother. During those times, he would simply listen to her without responding, and she would shout on him. She uses abusive words against him. He feels insulted by her words, but he keeps quiet. This is again the disposition. He's one who adjusts. He never argues with anybody and is naturally very caring. Recently, when our sister was unwell, he insisted her to come to my doctor appointment instead of him, prioritizing his health over his own. What he said, doctor's appointment comes after a lot of days. You go in my place. I will go and treat myself later. This is how is his disposition. So what do we understand from here? It is wife. It has to start from the right and then went to the left. So naturally, the wife was the thing. So what was the issue with his wife? The wife used to abuse him and insult him in front of all grandchildren, everybody. She used to say bad words to her. And that's what is corium skin. And what is the conflict which affects the corium skin? Because leprosy affects the corium skin is this what we see in learninggnm.com. Learning GNM, we see that the corium skin, what it has to say, the corium skin, that it gets affected by verbal attacks, okay, being yelled at, being scolded at, being assaulted, threatened, aggressive words, all which were hitting her face and forehead and insults against one's intelligence or backstab. This is all what is done. And what is happening with him? He's feeling a disfigurement conflict, feeling unclean and feeling soiled. All what is written in Learning German New Medicine. So we know that, okay, the corium skin is getting affected. The body is surviving. It's not disease or a leprosy. The fear of the problem goes. The fear of the disease name goes. Once you understand this, you are just there. You know, okay, my God, I found the ailments from. And then how to use this ailment from? Just apply the disposition. And then, it's very easy to treat all the ectoderm, all the skin, or the psoriatic problem. It becomes very difficult to treat all these new mesoderm and the new brain diseases. The mesoderm, the organ diseases are the most difficult to treat. You can easily treat all the diseases of the ectoderm, endoderm, but mesoderm, very difficult. So the old mesoderm, organ controlled by cerebellum, protection and integrity, it gets affected by the attack conflict. It heals in the form of cell proliferation. So you can see all those lumps on his skin and the healing phase. The fungus and the bacteria and the staphylococcus and others come up to eat up that area. So it's an attack conflict. It's a disfigurement conflict which he's going through. We know that he's going through these two situations. We know that we need to stick to our ailments from. Now so the skin, if you want to know more about the skin, the epidermis and the corium skin. Epidermis is the separation conflict. Okay, and these are the diseases. When it comes to corium skin, these are the diseases. And what is happening with our case is this, melanomas. So old mesoderm heals with cell proliferation. That's the reason you see so much of growth on his skin. Okay. Normally in psoriasis, you don't see growth. You see cracks and skin loss, skin shedding. So what do you see in German New Medicine? The site which is getting affected, there is a compact growth or melanoma. Very important to understand. This is what the body is going through. The biological purpose of survival is let here so that a thicker skin can come. So the attack, the verbal attack coming from the wife again and again and again, because he is not reacting, because he is not a person who's going to react, the body is going thicker and thicker and thicker and thicker. You also become, most probably when your wife or somebody from the home is always telling you, you also developed a thick skin. You become a thick-skinned person. And the wife says, nothing is bothering you. I say so much, but there's no reaction coming in. you have now become immune to what I say. All these dialogues comes in. So melanoma, very important. Now you see in the repetirization how it comes and how beautifully it can be combined with homeopathy and give better results. So the psyche, the ailments from being abused, the brain, how is the disposition, harmony, desire, yielding desire. What is getting affected? The organ. Cancer is a word. It is just a word. It is just cell proliferation. The skin is going through a cell proliferation. So this is a survival mechanism. How the skin is going into proliferation? By melanoma. Oma is growth. See this? How beautiful the repetirization shows. Mind ailments from abused after being indignation with. He was getting insulted in front of the grandchildren and everybody. The wife used to shout at her. The skin, melanomas. This is a rubric. The adaptation, see the mind adaptation, the chain reaction, what I again call is mind harmony and yielding disposition. How beautiful this repetirization looks. And this is enough to make you understand what medicine has to be given. Carcinosin 204 plussing dose was given. Why plussing? You need to learn prosology. It is very easy to understand through GNM. I will take you ahead and give you a glimpse of it. So corium skin, there's another beautiful thing of Germany medicine. If you do a CT scan, the part of the brain shows hammer heard. The psyche does not. So all those allopathic doctors or the conventional medicine doctor say all this is how it is affecting the psyche is affecting. Show us. So I have few friends who are radiologists. We do a CT scan and we find this hammer heard. Hammer. So it is named after hammer. Whenever that emotion strikes your brain, there is a small concentric circle which is affected by that shock, and that leaves a mark on the brain. See this? How beautiful and how scientific it is. The follow-up, he says he's felt better. He says he's better. All 12 months get stop results. Doctor asked the son about the pain, narrated that everything has been better. He says in this follow-up, not a single allopathic medicine he took. We took only your medicine. He says here, we don't have time for hearing him completely. When we detail study it, you can hear him. We took medicines for a whole month, but there was zero effect of allopathic medicines. And after coming here, there is much relief. He is stopped allopathic medicine long back. It's just homeopathy and Germany medicine. So this were the results. And these results were within a month's time. Within 8 to 10 days only, he could find all the healing coming in. And absolutely, you know, the Hering's law, it was healing spotless. It was healing spotless. No ointments, no steroids, no dapsone, which is used as a leprosy medicine, can give these results. So why are we considering the layers? You know, here we considered the layer. Very important. We considered the layer here. This rubric, very important. If we don't consider the layer, we may fail. We may fail. So in your repetirization, you need to know the importance of embryology. And that's what we are going to learn. Why embryology? Because these layers show changes according to the conflict, which are these. And if these conflicts continue, it leads to disease. Now, this is controlled by the brain. The brain gets affected in different areas when the conflict hits the psyche. How? Because of the brain cells. Because our body is made up of these layers. These layers are made up of cells. Every cell, mind my words, every cell has its own brain. Every cell has its own brain. Very important to understand. I'll explain you now next. There are three embryological layers: endoderm, ectoderm, mesoderm, which is old mesoderm, and new mesoderm. What I was telling is easy to treat endoderm diseases affecting the diseases affecting or the survival mechanism affecting endoderm. Very easy to treat skin problems. But what about old mesoderms? What about the new mesoderms? Very difficult. These are the organs. When they start growing, the conventional medicine immediately names them cancer and chemos are going on. And then you panic hearing their names. So let's see this embryology, how the layers come in. Was can somebody unmute and tell me, was the audio, the heartbeat heard or no?
No, I think when you go for sharing, you have an option to share screen, and on the right there's a box that says share audio. Perhaps, or maybe the heartbeat was heard. I didn't, but maybe someone else. Dr. Sadia says she did hear it.
Okay, take it. Sure. So what I'm trying to say is embryology. Now, to understand embryology, we need to know how the brain, brain of the cell works. So we are made up of trillion cells, and these cells are controlled by the different brain parts. So what I was talking about, the brain stem, the oldest brain. We were talking about the oldest brain. This is the oldest brain, the brain stem. We initially had only the brain stem, and the function of this brain stem is only digestion and reproduction. That was the function of the anthropods, the initial part. Then as we started growing, there was cerebrum, the old mesoderm. So everything which is old, when a shock hits them, they proliferate. Remember this. They grow. Okay, anything hits, they want to survive. No? Initial, the survival was very difficult. So they used to grow to prove that they are more stronger than the other. Then as the brain developed, the new mesoderm and the ectoderm came. Whenever a psyche affects them, a shock affects them, and the brain gets affected, there is going to be cell loss. So the skin, ectoderm is skin. So anything happens to the skin, there is cell loss. So this is how the brain cells work. If the cell is of new mesoderm, there will be cell loss. If the cell is of controlled by the old mesoderm, there will be cell growth. So this is what we need to understand. How we can understand this? So when a chicken is beheaded, the chicken head is cut, the chicken goes into a complete flying mechanism here and there, here and there. When the head is cut, she should drop dead there. But she goes, for some time, she goes into this type of panic before she settles down. This is how what confirms that the cell also has its own brain, though it is in chaotic situation. That is a panic situation because the situation is syphilitic. So jellyfish lacks a central nervous system nets to control movement stimuli. Despite the simplicity, they exhibit complex behavior like hunting, swimming. This suggests cellular intelligence, that is brain of cells. Each layer has a different survival mechanism. It's called the brain of the cell. So the endoderm and old mesoderm, there is always a tumor, always a growth, always a malignancy, always a survival mechanism to make it more stronger to withstand that type of pressure. But when it is new mesoderm or ectoderm, there are always going to be cell loss. Please remember this. It will be very useful whenever these type of cases come to your clinic, how the patient is surviving. So just a repetition of that. The first two brainstem and cerebral cell proliferation, the next two cerebral medulla and cerebral cortex, it's going to be cell loss. So now we came to know the layer. The case of leprosy, we saw how much important it is to take melanoma, how the skin responds for survival. And that's the reason that rubric was taken. But what to do about the neurological problem? How to deal with them? How to deal with Parkinsonism? How to deal with Alzheimer's? How to deal with brain tumors? How to deal with the brain, the autonomous nervous system? So let's learn that with a case, with another case, where you will see how beautifully homeopathy and German new medicine in combine can cure a patient. So we need to understand the basics of the nervous system. So autonomous nervous system. So autonomic nervous system. So the main nervous system is divided into CNS and peripheral. The peripheral is divided into autonomic nervous system and somatic. The autonomous nervous system is what we are going to learn today because this is the main nerve which helps us survive better if we understand what is causing it to react or not react. So the sympathetic nervous system is in the daytime. It's all about the daytime where you get up, you exercise, you eat, you digest, you urinate. The liver releases glucose for your energy, for your daily activity. And the whole day you do this, night you have to relax. Night you relax, and next day you are again energetic. So if this goes on, day you go to the clinic, you have a lot of stress, a lot of work, but night you go home and peacefully sleep. Again, next day you have new challenges. Again, you go and sleep. Third day, you have more of some issues which you're facing. Again, you relax. If this normal rhythm goes on, everything is fine. Everything is going to be fine. But the problem happens where the normal rhythm goes into DHS, Dirk Hammer syndrome, where it strikes here. As soon as you strike, you don't go into your parasympathetic mode. You are continuously in stress, and this prolonged sympathetic reaction is going on, and you're not able to sleep. Your body is not able to rest. If the body is not able to rest and it is supposed controlled by the brain stem, the digestive system, and day in and day out, there are butterflies in your stomach. Naturally, there is going to be cell growth because the brain says that this person wants to have more energy, more glucose. You cannot rest. You need to work day in and day out. And then the organs day in and day out are producing more enzymes, more hormones. Continuously high levels of enzymes and hormones naturally are going to be seen in the blood report, and naturally we are going to have a distressing situation which the conventional medicine picks up and starts giving medicine instead of asking what triggered this. They directly start the medicine, and then you land up into this situation. There is no prolonged parasympathetic reaction. You are continuously being into stress, and that's where you have to find the ailments from. The ailments from is here. What caused this? Your ailments from. Very important. But what if the patient comes into the healing phase or a hanging healing phase? This is where the patients come for diabetes. This is where the patient comes for blood pressure. This is where the patient comes for with indurations. And that is called as hanging healing. That's hanging healing. So when you give your medicine, it works. It really works. But after some days, the symptoms relapse. The same remedy does not work. You change the remedy, it does not work because there is a hanging conflict. You need to again understand why that conflict is being relapsed again and again. So you're sympathetic, you go to your office, you take stress, you go to homeopath who resolves the problem, you sleep better, and next day you're fine. But you go to a hospital, the the crisis become more complicated, and then the secondary healing does not take place, or you are completely not able to sleep overnight, you feel exhausted, and then you die. So hanging conflict, you need to understand all autoimmune disorders, which are the conflict if not resolved. If you don't know or you don't identify the conflict, because homeopath has such a great case-taking phenomena, which has been taught by Dr. Hahnemann, makes the person understand, oh my God, this is a reason which I am sick in, and this is not a disease, just a survival mechanism. Immediately there is conflictolysis, lysis of the conflict, and you start healing. This is epileptide crisis. This, when I teach you Germany medicine in detail, I will tell you what is epileptide crisis. It's just like a abscess being broken is also called as epileptide crisis. So we learn this neurological aspect, how to consider in your case history to treat more neurological problem with this illustration of this case. This is a case of a government officer. She had lumbar pain, she had neck pain, she had numbness, she had upper back pain, she has knee pain, arthritis with neurological problems. So what is the reason of lumbar region feeling unsupported? So the bones get affected by something called as self-devaluation conflict. See here, it is written here. It is the bones get affected, the bones and the joints get affected by severe self-devaluation conflict or loss of self-worth. So what was the self-worth loss here? She felt unsupported. Her first marriage did not work. So she decided to try second marriage. When she expressed her family that they hadn't supported her enough, they seemed indifferent. Her brother and even a sister refused to help. So feeling unsupported, your lower back, always you take rest on a chair. Always your lower back is supported. So mentally also, if you're not supported, the cortisol builds up, the enzymes and hormones go up, and you go into a either a stressful back or the bones get affected. The what happens in conflict active in bone situations is osteoporosis and osteolysis. So cervical pain, they say it is intellectual self-devaluation. So I asked her, what was it? She said, I worked in a government job. I was accused for taking a bribe. These accusations deeply affected her, leaving her into constant fear of what people might think. She remains anxious, worrying that the police might arrest her. Is intellectual self-evaluation. She had upper back pain. Upper back, what do? We appreciate. We give a pat on the back. That's not being appreciated. Upper back. So she's doing so much and she was not being appreciated. Physical performance, she was applying transfer to any cost, escape the stress. Despite applying twice the process, she could not move ahead. Knee is what? You climb the stair of your success. You climb the steps. You climb your success stairs. You climb your success. You build up your success on it. So you climb. So what do you use to climb? Your knees. So the knees get affected. It's called as physical performance conflict. Again, a devaluation. Discouraged after not being supported by the family, she feels accused, has fear that she will be caught by police and wants to escape from the situation by taking a transfer. The bones and joints were considered. This is what German New Medicine teaches us. This is a screenshot from learninggnm.com. The new mesoderm, organs controlled by the cerebral medulla, self-worth, self-devaluation conflict was the issue for her, which was putting her into all these aches and pains and osteoarthritis. And there was cell loss. The bones were losing their consistency and additional cells were coming in to remove the bacteria. So what we knew about this was severe cell devaluation on every level. How did we analyze this? Very important. Again, what was taken in the psyche, how the psyche got affected, ailments from mortification and delusion accused. We have a rubric, delusion accused. What was the chain reaction? Arrested, being fear of being arrested. So simple, na? She had a fear of being arrested. She was discouraged. See this rubric, beautiful rubric. Delusion, devils persecuted by devils. He is for crimes which he has never ever done. Okay, accused, na? So she is accused. So crimes, devils are who? Those people around him are the devils. The organ affected was back lumbar region. You have to consider the organ, the vertebrae, the cervical region, complaints, bones are sensitive. The bones had become sensitive. Take these rubrics. You will never ever fail if you really take the psyche, brain, and organ. And this makes it a holistic analysis. Ailments from mortification, delusion accused she is, fear arrested of being discouraged, delusion devils persecuted by devils for the crime he has never done, lumbar complaints vertebra, cervical region complaints of sensitive bones. The remedy which was given was zincumate 1 mg, 3 doses, and plussing doses SOS because there used to be a continuous conflict. So we normally give 1 dose and wait. But when there are conflict, every day she goes into the office, every day she feels the devils attacking her, every day she has a fear of being arrested, means the mind is on high alert. What happens? I'll tell you. Why it is very important to take autonomous nervous system in your case history, which German New Medicine teaches us, is very important. You will see now. So here, again, the CT scan. See, you see this concentric circle? This is what is seen on the CT scan. And if you see how the layout of the cerebral medulla, which of the brain, which controls the bony structure, this is the area, the cervical vertebra, the shoulder, the head and neck part, everything getting affected. Here, this is the area of hammerhead, which is seen, is again a area of knee and lumbar vertebra. So after giving Zincamate, this is what this is what the testimonial was. Doctor, a patient said, all good. It's just I have went to a Himachal for trekking. If you cannot hear, the subtitles are there.
ठीक आहे. फक्त काय झालं, मी मागच्या आठवड्यात हिमाचलला गेले होते. तर मला सायनसायटिस झालं 2-3 वेळा.
She says, went for a trek. Now, a person who is having all these aches and pains going for trek means she's better. But she got sinusitis. She got cold. What is it happening? The Sora is coming in. The Herring's law of cure, the direction of cure is being followed.
आधीपेक्षा काय फरक आहे? आधीपेक्षा काय काय फरक आहे? कमरेस दुखणं बरंच कमी झालेलं आहे. पाठीचं ऑलमोस्ट गेलंय. ते तुम्ही ट्रेकिंग करत होते त्यावेळेला काय काय झालं? ट्रेक केला त्या दिवशी काय नाही दुखलं. दुसऱ्या दिवशी नॉर्मल वॉक करत होते. नॉर्मल चालत गेलो मी.
So in short, she got better. Now how? How? What did we do? Why Zincam is so fidgety, restless, muddled, tormenting? Let's understand at the cellular level and neurological level. I forgot to mention here the neurological level. Zincam is like this. I just loved this GIF when I saw it's perfectly matching the sympathetic nervous system, active. So what are the rubrics which we see about sympathetic nerves or the neurology in our repertory? I'm sure many must have not analyzed or seen the repertory like this. Activity, sleeplessness with, ailments, anticipation, fright, easily, anger, trifles, anxiety alone, anticipation, fear, pursuit, somebody's behind me, anxiety, sleep during, bed, gets out of the bed, wants to. The bed is somewhere you don't want to get out. I never would want to get out of the bed. I would just want to relax. Delirium, bed, escape, jumps up suddenly from the bed. All these are sympathetic rubric. So my dear friends and doctors, our repertory also resonates with German new medicine and the autonomous nervous system and the nature's law, telling us these are the sympathetic crisis rubrics. Take this when the patient is in sympathetic activity. Take parasympathetic rubrics when he is in parasympathetic activity. What are the parasympathetic rubric? We'll see. These are all sympathetic. Anxiety, night, waking on, everything. Hurry, drinking, eating, irritability, morning, irritability, noon, laughing immoderately, fear, causeless fear, all sympathetic. The nervous system is all activated. And when the nervous system is activated, naturally, a continuous nervous system activation is going to make the nervous system go into fatigue one day. So all these chorea, fear from chorea, night, all these things, jerking at night. See how beautiful the rubrics are. Sympathetic activity. Now is the parasympathetic rubrics. Business incapacities, tired, moving that leg so much here and there, here and there, here and there, he's tired. Concentration difficult. Confusion of mind, brain does not work, brain fag. You have used the brain too much. Dementia, discontented, everything with dullness, memory weakness, mistakes making, prostration of mind, study too much. Okay, extremities numbness, all are parasympathetic. Mental retardation. Oh my God. All these are parasympathetic rubrics. So use this rubric when the patient comes, but also understand what is he going through at the neurological level, and that is what we are going to consider, and not consider it to be Parkinsonism and Alzheimer's and big names of the disease. Don't panic, my dear friends. It's just a survival mechanism. Use your rubrics and use your knowledge of medicine and knowledge of disease properly, and the sky is the limit. Believe me, as we go ahead in the journey of learning one disease every month, you are going to see how beautifully it works. So do remember there is sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system, which you need to consider in your case histories and in your analysis. So zincomate, so I have done this for every remedy. Every remedy I have this. Zincomate, weakness of extremities, the sympathetic activity is all this, and epileptoid crisis is twitching of the muscle, and parasympathetic is sore pain and extremities, relax, wants to lie down, no energy, lethargic, feels stupid. So that's the reason nervous system problems are so common in zincomate. So case study. Now we understood the nerves, the sympathetic nervous system. We understood the layers, how important it is to take the layer rubrics, how important it is to see the cell brain, how important it is to see the neurological action, how important to take those rubrics in our treating our neurological problems. Now we go to a very complicated case. We have 10 minutes. So we just go ahead and understand this case. So this is case of infertility. The pathologies which you see, I got tired reading what all she had. And believe me, when she came with all these pathology listed in her sonography report, and the doctors, all the doctors had said, you cannot become pregnant. I have a video of hers, a testimonial, where she takes name of all the big shots of our part of our country, and they said you cannot become pregnant. So see the changes of adenomyosis are seen in posterior uterine wall, pelvic adhesions, bilateral diameter endometric cyst, right ovarian cyst, or left ovarian cyst, endometrioma, hydronephrosis, all there. Now what to do? German new medicine comes to help. So these are all what was there seen in her problems. Germany medicine referred, learninggnm.com, says that all these cysts, ovaries, if get affected, the conflict is loss conflict. Loss conflict. She has lost a near and dear one, and she is still into a hanging conflict because that person's loss is not being filled by anybody in her life. The patient feels deeply upset because of husband and mother-in-law. She feels her mother-in-law controls everything, interferes in her private life, and forces her rules on them. This often leads to arguments. Despite doing all her household work, she feels unappreciated. Her husband doesn't support her in these issues, which makes her angry and hurt. But she feels this feeling inside. She's also worried about not being able to get pregnant, which makes her feel impatient, insecure, and afraid of being left alone. She feels like her family doesn't value or include her, which leaves her feeling lonely and frustrated. Her emotional pain started after his father's passed away, which brought sadness and menstrual problem. Very important, my dear friends. We have to see where the problem started, the ailments from. So the problem started where? The problem started emotional pain when a father passed away when she was young. And then she got married and thought at least a husband would fill up that space. But there also she felt loneliness. So the hanging conflict prevailed. So again, our chart, ailments from grief, ailments from disappointment, how she is, what is a chain reaction? She is becoming impatient because she's not getting children, fear of being alone, the organs affected are ovaries, and she's as if she was said that she will not get pregnant. So she is almost in a menopausal phase. Okay, you have to take rubrics little metamorphically also. So the rubrics were grief, disappointment, impatient, children about, impatient, fear alone of being, ovaries complaints, and menopause. Kali Cup 200, 300 to 3 doses were given, and there the pregnancy came in. A single live intrauterine gestation around 29 to 30 weeks. Initially, this was the reports. These were all her trimester reports, which showed everything normal. And there she delivered a baby. So this is how approach works when you take so now this case, what is this case? Here you don't find the layer. Here you don't find the neurological problem. But then take the organ. Consider the organ in your repertorization and see why that organ is getting affected. What was the ailments from? Ailments was grief after losing his father, the loss conflict. The loss conflict made her go into losing menses. Why? Because no father, I have to stand on my face, on my feet and take care of my living. So naturally the testosterone levels goes up so that I can, I don't want menses, I have to stand on my feet is all usually the thoughts come in most of the females, and that psyche keeps on affecting them. Again, a survival mechanism. So the ovaries, again, you do a CT scan, you see a hammer herd, and this is where the right ovary, you can see the hammer herd. Okay, so those are the three cases. There is one surgical short case. Dr. Atik, do you think I should take that? It'll take another 5 minutes, or we stop here?
No, I think it's good if you do share that. Yes, please.
Okay, so a last case. There are so many cases. There are kidney failures, there are heart issues, but I'll just take a surgical case. How to deal or use German new medicine and your repertorization knowledge to solve these surgical cases. So, case of intestinal intussusception. Now, when I'm working with all these conventional doctors, they allow me in the night, they decide a surgery, and in the morning that it is going to be operated next day morning 5 o'clock. So we have a time, and homeopathy is fast. Believe me, homeopathy is very, very, very fast. The fastest pathy. So how to make it fast is you need to understand the disease of knowledge of disease and knowledge of medicine exactly to use this in such type of surgical cases. To understand these surgical cases, you need to have a surgeon friend. And if that surgeon friend allows you to treat the patient in the night and morning he's going to operate it because it's a surgical emergency, you have just that night to give your results. This is how you approach intestinal intussusception case. So a 9-year female came with complaints of abdominal pain and since 2-3 days with fever. 1 minute, huh? I want you to hear how she behaves. That's the reason I disconnected my earpods, and let's see whether you all can hear how she's going, what she's going through in this. So she had fever, which is no vomiting, no loose motions, had outside food. Normally doctors say it is outside food, but it is never outside food. Just for the revision, the intestines getting affected. The intestines are controlled by endoderm. Okay, so the brain stem controls it. The brain stem controls that part of the intestine. The brain stem is always going to show proliferation because of the oldest brain. So there's actually going to be growth. There is not going to be growth. There's going to be obstruction. So these were the reports of that patient. Bowel within the lumen of the, 1 minute, I'll take the pen. So the bowel appearance, telescoping, right hypochondriac. So in intussusception, there is a telescoping which takes place. Right hypochondrium with thickening of involved bowel walls, suggesting intussusception. Okay, 1 minute. I think eraser. See that? It says intussusception. Now this intussusception, they were going to operate next morning, 11/4/23. The doctor said, we have a patient, they know you, can you come and help? He says, sure, we can really help. If you can send the patient better, I can give the medicine right away. Otherwise, I will come in the night when I finish my work. So they drove her back into my clinic. This is what she's going through. Just check whether you can hear and put in the chat. See how she's answering. She's answering this.
किधर दुख रहा है पेट? कब से? ओके. कब ज्यादा दुखता है? ऐसा है. यूरिन करने के टाइम, स्टूल्स करने के टाइम, खाने के टाइम कब ज्यादा दुखता है? इधर दुखता है? इधर? उधर ही ना, पीछे से?
So, the understanding here is, what do we do in such situations where there is a surgical emergency? The patient is unhappy with her mother. She reprimands me and speaks aggressively. I'm terrified of her. I find it difficult to be around her. We couldn't get much information from her because she was shy, hesitant, and only said one word. According to a parent, she will never react to anger unless it is directed at herself. No one should scold her. She will ensure that everyone has a favorable opinion about her. Mother scolded her the day before her complaints surfaced. Okay, so what we found, the mother scolded her. Indigestible morsel conflict is the conflict of the intestines and the stomach and controlled by the brainstem. The brainstem got this shock of anger and immediately the body showed survival mechanism. Next day, 12/4 morning, they took her on the table. Before that, they wanted to do a sonography. Next day morning, the bowel within the lumen appearance target sign on right side is not seen, suggested of released intussusception. The surgeon is calling me and asked, what exactly did you give? Can we have a bunch of that remedy in our medical store that all these surgical problems can be sorted? I said, no, our medicines are tailor-made. We need to know the German new medicine and we need to know the homeopathy, and these are tailor-made remedies. Every person is different. Every person needs a different medicine. Every person has a different conflict. So my dear friends, if you are practicing homeopathy and you have a knowledge of German new medicine, sky is a limit. You just can do anything, and reverse most of the things. Only you need to trust the process and trust homeopathy. So your ailments from anger suppressed, anger with fright, she carried desire, answering monosyllables, moaning pain from, and what? You need to take the organ, the understanding of the organ is gastrointestinal complaints, flatulence obstructed, flatulence intestinal obstructed is what we find. And this is what came up after the repertorization. And okay, some can hear, some can, okay. So this is what was selected, pulsatilla, and next day you can see the reports. Again, a case of shingles, again, an attack conflict, dermis, This was the situation. The doctor said he will lose the eye and the ear. When you have a German new medicine knowledge, I asked the patient, did you see something bad? He said nothing. Did you hear something bad? He said, no. He said, I just could not face the situation. Means I knew that the disease is not going to progress to the eye and the ear. This confidence comes in once you know German new medicine. And he was attacked, insulted, and humiliated on the face. Within 7 days, this was a situation. And if you are not suppressing the disease, you have to get hearing's law. You need to get the skin without a scar and see the beautiful healing which German new medicine and homeopathy can bring in. The rubrics were again indignation indignation and disappointment, delusion, arrested about to, because he was tell now you cannot bear all these things, so you better stop going anywhere, you stay at home. So he felt like he was arrested and will not be able to go there. Skin eruption, blisters. Belladonna cured him. 6 plusing dose, 6 hourly. The corium scan taken shows the same hammer heard here. Psoriasis, again, it's epidermis, so separation conflict. That's the reason I wanted to end this lecture with this slide. Take separation conflict, not the attack conflict. Vitiligo, again, the separation conflict, not the attack conflict. Okay, so we will not do the arthritis. We'll do it later on. So I really need to thank you, Dr. Atik, Dr. Naila. Thank you for giving me opportunity. There are many cases. We will keep learning and keep replicating in our clinic. I hope this lecture made you more confident to use your knowledge, use German medicine and homeopathy in combination to be in a complete control of what is happening in the human body and how you are going to reverse it.
Dr. Asher Shaikh, that was nothing short of incredible. So thank you so very much. We are now going to take questions, so you'll have the option to unmute. But before that, I'm just going to now stop the live stream to YouTube, but the questions will remain here on Zoom. Those people who are listening to us on YouTube, there is some space on the Zoom account, so please do feel free. I've shared the link with you on the chat